Greetings, subscribers, especially my new subscriber, Satellite of Love Animations. You may have noticed an absence of a Spirit Halloween Proton Pack review video, and that's because it hasn't arrived yet. When I ordered it, it said it would likely arrive on Saturday, November 25th. Yeah. And, well, I keep checking the tracking, and it keeps telling me label created, anticipated ship date, Wednesday, November 22nd, 2017. Keep in mind that today is Monday, November 27th, 2017. So I thought I'd just continue this Ghostbusters streak. I'm actually working on the Alice frames already, so that once I compare the two packs that aren't things I got at Toys R Us, I will be able to mount them immediately and then compare those. But I figured I'd continue the streak here by, well, I've already reviewed this film, but I think I might have said that once they release the extended version they promised, I would give it another Apparently I'm allergic to this movie. I'd give it another chance. I think I said something like that. Hopefully I didn't say once, because this is quite a while afterwards, but this does include the extended version, so I did want to give it a chance, so I will be watching it. First I'm going to watch the original theatrical cut, because it's been a while, and I do want to have a firm basis on which to do the comparison. Actually, there are 3 discs here. This is the extended is this the extended version? Yeah, this is the extended version, this is the regular version, and this is the 4K Ultra HD version, which my TV probably can't handle, and probably makes the whole thing look like it was shot on video. It's weird. People are like, wow, isn't that great? It's like, if you're watching a BBC production from the late 80s, early 90s, shot on video, you would complain about it looking badly. But you're watching something else that's shot on video, and because you're told it's great, you, sorry. When I took the disc out, it didn't want to come out, and then when I brought it over to the Blu-ray player, it fell. So I think it's trying to save me, and I'm sorry that I'm resisting your valiant attempts, disc. Do I have enough caffeine here? Maybe I need to make some Darjeeling tea. Okay, that wouldn't play. Apparently this is the 3D. Can you even see that? Because I sure as heck couldn't. Disc, and maybe that's why it was reluctant to be put in my player, because it sensed that I wasn't 3D enabled. So apparently it's this one here. This one looks much nicer. Okay, I've paused the film for a moment because according to the film, the first line of this book, this is the book from the film, well, kind of, it's newly revised and somewhat updated. Hey, I actually got that right. According to the film, the first line is, "This is not a joke." So let's see if that's actually true here. There's a new forward. That doesn't help. New introduction. Okay, part 1, our stories. Too often. No. Chapter 1, do you believe in ghosts? No. Okay, I know it's been newly revised, but couldn't they have put the line, that the first line, "This is not a joke," somewhere in here? I mean, then again, considering how the proton packs resemble preliminary designs instead of the final design, I mean, look in the... Never mind. Okay, before I get to the review, I just wanted to point out here, okay, disc 1 is the 4K, disc 2 is the 3D, and disc 3 is the regular Blu-ray. So here's how it works here. Okay, this is... Actually, you probably open it. It's this. No, okay, so here's 1, here's 2, and, here's disc 3. Yeah, little confusing, I thought. Well, it was interesting watching some of the special effects go past the matte lines, and it's interesting. I saw the film in 3D, but I didn't notice that. Maybe I just didn't notice it, or they were having some difficulty with the projector. It also was in Big D, so maybe it didn't really have the intended proportions. I don't know. Otherwise, well, just like when I saw it theatrically, it's a remake of a very funny comedy that is not itself very funny. I could complain about other things, but really, do I have to go any further? And that's also the only good defenses I've heard of the film. I've heard people say, well, it's great that it has female role models. Yes, but it still sucks. Well, that scene where Holtzman does something acrobatic, but it doesn't sexualize her. Yes, that's great, but it still sucks. I thought it was funny. Humor is subjective. More power to you. That doesn't change the other stuff, but for me, not being very funny is enough. One problem is that it's very inconsistent in its tone, and that's kind of the problem with Kevin. In the context of this film, Kevin is too stupid to live. He'd be very funny in a Will Ferrell movie or maybe a comedy sketch. It's Kevin, the world's dumbest secretary. He's really stupid. Guess I gotta watch the extended version now. How can I procrastinate? Well, I could pause the film a lot like I did while watching it, and I could yell at the screen. I only did that during the scenes with the mayor and his assistant, so that made it easier to watch than it was in the theater. Also, on my nice comfortable couch instead of in seats that make me, there's the ceiling. Oh, that's better. I shouldn't have taken off my proton pack. Yeah, it was uncomfortable, but it made me face the screen without hurting my neck. I'm sorry about this, but I'm about to objectify a woman. In the film, Melissa McCarthy, the way she had her hair and those glasses, she was just so cute. Well, this figure doesn't do her justice. These shots don't do her justice. This almost does her justice, but not quite. And I think this is the only Melissa McCarthy film I've actually seen in its entirety. But from what I've seen, the clips and trailers and stills I've seen of her other films, she doesn't look like this. She should look this cute more often. She's got sort of a Tamara Chambers thing going. I wonder if I can kit bash this into a Tamara Chambers figure. Okay, here's my verdict. After wearing both types of elbow pads on alternating arms for several hours, I have reached the conclusion that the Ace black elbow pads are more comfortable as pushing it. Less uncomfortable than these white ones dyed gray that were, whatever the... Basically, until I find a more movie-accurate pair, I'm wearing the Ace ones despite the incorrect coloration. Well, I made a bunch of notes. I'm not going to read all of them to you. But there is one part which I think should have been in the theatrical version, and that is when Rowan is posing the soldiers and police officers and so forth. He then makes them dance, and it's a fairly short sequence. It's not the long sequence in the end credits. I mean, the other one is just kind of a setup and then no payoff. Kind of like the Warner Brothers cartoons after being edited over the decades on Saturday morning. And most of the new footage, well, extended footage, is more one-liners. And I'm not the first person to point out. In fact, I don't know if I've pointed that out in any of my videos. There are too many one-liners. They kept ad-libbing, and then it didn't occur to them to cut anything. Actually, they did cut some stuff. They should have cut more. There are also a few lines here and there that are different, not to the film's credit necessarily. Worst thing, in my opinion, worst change, is Holtzman originally referred to the Pringles as salty parabolas. Who can resist these salty parabolas? That would have been funny if I had just said it once. And in the extended version, it's once you pop, go back to salty parabolas. Now even less funny that I've said it a third time. There's also a subplot about Erin's sort of boyfriend that, it's dropped, so it's good that they dropped it completely then altogether. You may have heard there are more musical numbers. Well, there was a dance. There's also Erin and Patty, not Patty, what? These two, yeah. Erin and Abby, yeah. In fact, dressed like this, doing a presentation they did in high school or junior high, or I think they tore all those down now and put up middle schools, about the paranormal, and it's basically involves dancing and rhyming, and it's pretty stupid, and it's good that they cut it. Instead of starting off with Erin practicing her lecture. It starts off with her entering and kind of kissing, changing her opinion in order to kiss people's rear ends. Good that they cut that. Really, no information that's not conveyed much more succinctly in other scenes. And speaking of information that's conveyed much more succinctly in other scenes, they show Rowan possessing Abby. Right, you think I'd remember her name considering how cute I think Melissa McCarthy is. He possesses her, and she pukes slime, and slime comes out of her nose and her ears, and Rowan monologues. Is it Rowan? Who cares? Again, spending a lot of time giving out information that's either obvious and doesn't need to be given out, or is figured out by other characters a little later on much more succinctly. So, yeah, it's about 15 minutes of unnecessary additional footage, with the possible exception of the dance sequence. Actually, there is no King Gainer in that particular... You know what I mean. They were right to cut most of what they did. Now, maybe if they'd cut even more, it still would have been uneven. Yeah. You know, there's still some extras on here. There's even more deleted scenes. There's some documentaries. There are 2 commentaries, although, I don't know. 2 commentaries on a movie I didn't like by people who probably liked it. Maybe eventually, but not now. I've got more... Actually, yeah, I've got more important stuff as well as more interesting stuff to do. So, later!